One final match remains this evening. Which player is going to Toronto? A best of 3 with everything on the line. A very important match for both of these players and teammates on stage. Joining me for this one is Pig and now Todd. You've both throughout your careers been in these positions before where everything is on the line, whether it's a best of 3, best of 5. MaSa has already said to us this isn't the ideal matchup that he wanted to. And on the same page, we have iaguz, who's just come off the back of a game that he feels he should have won.
It's not ideal. I think the real challenge here is forgetting that you're playing a teammate and a friend and just like giving it your best. That's really what's going to be hard. And yeah, if they can do that and play well, it's still going to be pretty open as to who can take it. I was very bad at that actually. Back in the Warcraft 3 days, every time I played grubby in tournaments, I was like, I'm playing a friend. I can play there. I can play that good, right? And then every time I lost.
Got to have that killer instinct, I think. And, you know, it's interesting how these two players match up because I feel like similar to the games we've seen iaguz is like, you know, I'm going to get that big economy up and I'm going to kind of defend. And MaSa's been really good at the more aggressive kind of early mid-game play, very aggressive with the drops. So I think in a matchup like TvT, often it's those speed medevac drops which can be very decisive. So I'm very curious to see how these play out. And of course, anyone who knows anything about TvT knows there's so many different openings, there's so many tweaks, and you can kind of just die quite suddenly. We see it in Pro League and a lot of the top tournaments. Crazy Hellbat drops, Hellions and Vikings running in. There's all sorts of strange builds. So I think iaguz is probably going to play a little bit more conservatively, and MaSa might try to bring it in a little bit harder, a little bit more aggressively.
Well, for those playstyles, the maps that we're going to be playing on here, Vani Research Station, Coda and Echo, for no surprise here. These two maps just played almost every single series, if not every single series. Vani Research Station, starting this one off though. You know, it's the first map. Great for mech. Are we going to see mech played through this series? It's a great style to use.
I think iaguz is a kind of marine tank for life sort of guy. I wasn't joking earlier when I said he's got a streak of Bomber in him. It's Bomber's the player he looks up to probably, you know, the most historically. If you read his Twitter feed, he's always watching Bomber's games and commenting. And it's been a long time since I've seen him do anything but marine tank in TvT. So I think for iaguz, almost definitely bio tank. And from what I've seen of MaSa, he likes that sort of play as well. So we're probably going to see that more typical, standard, and the classic TvT.
What do you think about Vani Research Station then here, Todd, to start this off?
Well, I mean, even more so than just Vani, like just the map pool in general, I feel like that matchup is very similar to what we saw yesterday between Major and Polt, with two guys that just want to play a straight-up game in series on, you know, the two-players map, not trying to, you know, use any particular tricks, just play some good StarCraft. That's all it's going to take here to win.
And it's going to be quite interesting, of course, on Vani. There's always the base in the back is a potentially dangerous area which can get dropped. It's something where I think it was kind of tragic when we saw this map just the other day, right? We saw Major get in this amazing position against Bolt, and he got kind of sideswiped. So, of course, the two areas you're looking at is a sieging sort of position at the edge of the opponent's natural, kind of out front there, but also there's the surprise drops darting past your opponent's gold base and into their back. And, of course, the position right between those, because the main base is very small, it has a ledge right next to it. If you can siege just below that ledge, you can destroy a lot of your opponent's production. So you can never let your opponent's marine tank army into that critical area.
But what we saw yesterday, though, whoever made most tanks won. So is it going to continue like that? And did they notice? If I was Stern, I'd make a lot of tanks in TvT. I'd go mech, you know what?
I remember actually looking and thinking back to when you played a bits of Brood War and we played together, you played a lot of mech Brood War Terran, if I remember correctly.
I played with you, Brood War?
Yeah, we did.
Who won?
You were a little bit higher ranked than me. I think you were C+ in IC Cup around there. I was a little bit lower than that.
We were both pretty bad.
We were both very bad at it. Bragging about how, you're C+. I was like, just like C-, both being bad ranks. Thinking about these two players then, let's start talking a little bit about MaSa. We've both now spoken about how much there's on the line, but he's the only North American representative left in the round of 32. We don't have that many more players left. We have these two on stage and then 4 more players that are going to be playing tomorrow. He's the only Canadian player left in the tournament, with Kane having an early exit in Group A. I mean, of course, we know how electric the Canadian crown's going to be, but to have one of their own there.
Yeah, it'd be great. He tweeted a little bit about how, you know, I didn't really understand what was wrong with his build in the first series, or like what happens, and how he felt better now, you know? Now that he won a series, So it's going to be interesting to see if he continues, like this and just plays better in general. Because that first series was definitely a rough one.
He's got to pick up that tempo and keep on making things get better and better. iaguz there deep in thought, thinking, how do I destroy my teammate?
Is he thinking that, or is he still going over that last map? I mean, such a loss like that, when you're in a position which Firecake said he was in a terrible position, this guy knows he was in a great position. Is that something that can still be playing on his mind?
It's most likely in the back of his head. Hopefully he's pushing it deep down though.
Okay.
There does look to be a bit of focus on his face, a little bit of tension, but I think he should be able to move on here. And iaguz, he's always been really good, I think, in the openings in TvT, but sometimes I feel like his traditional weakness is when the game picks up pace in the mid game, he can get himself in a great position, but sometimes there's small oversights in positioning, or he gets caught up in defending something and not looking somewhere else, and that's occasionally where he gets caught out, and that's why it does worry me a little bit in TvT when you've got someone.
But iaguz, he looks up to Bomber, and he played very similarly against Zerg. Bomber has insane TvT. If iaguz emulates what Bomber is capable to do, even just to a certain extent, surely he's going to do well, right?
To some extent, yeah. I think, he's good with the macro side, but can you really emulate someone being so on the ball with their speed medevacs as Bomber is? And actually, if we think about Bomber, there have been a few moments, if you guys think back, where he's left his whole army unattended and Marines have simmed underneath it and he's lost 100 supply. If you can think back to last year, there was a few famous moments where that happened against Polt. And I think iaguz suffers from the same problem once in a while.
You're really adjusted to this role at the analysis by disagreeing with me so heavily.
That's exactly what he's there to do. Sorry to cut you off, guys. We've got to get into this one. Both players are ready to go in a match that you can look at both sides of it. Is the biggest moment, biggest game for both sides. iaguz goes through biggest moment of his career to play in Canada. Likewise for MaSa. Your casting team for this, Colaris and Rotterdam.
Thank you very much, guys. All right, TvT to round things up here in Group G. And two Terrans that have actually played against each other quite a bit recently. About a month and a half ago, they actually had 3 series back-to-back against one another.
Yeah, it's really funny. I noticed it early today. I went to Leisure like, I'm sure they've played against each other twice. Like, 3 series. And I looked like, how old are they? Like March, April. I was like, that's so recent. We can actually talk about these stats without being completely irrelevant. That's amazing. But yeah, it's very even across the board.
With all of those series being quite close, quite close indeed. MaSa was able to win 2 of them, and iaguz was able to win the best of 5 overall, with the other 2 being best of 3. So very evenly matched in this particular matchup. And we do start things on Vani Research Station. I'm interested to see how this is going to go.
I was very surprised when MaSa earlier stated that he feels TvT is his weakest matchup, because I never felt about it like that. I kind of felt if he's struggling in one matchup, then maybe it's TvP, because I feel like a lot of the North American Terrans have been vocal about their dislike of TvP. If you think about it, maybe MaSa has a hard time finding Terrans that are, good enough to practice with, because he has been on top of the North American scene for quite a while. And other than Major, there are just not that many very outstanding Terrans. We had Neep for a while, so maybe it's just the inexperience in the matchup of playing against high-level opponents, but I was very surprised. Anyway, Colaris, I'm gonna go sit back and enjoy the ride.
Thank you very much, buddy. We've been in this situation before. It's deja vu. Hydra and Kelazar were in the deciding match just a few nights ago, and now we have Root for Root once again. Up to the north, it is our blue Terran representing Root Gaming. It's iaguz.
The game lead Terran has requested to turn the lights off, please, Colaris.
Thanks, mate.
I have not watched Lord of the Rings, but is the Gimli Terran actually in a cave?
Wait, you haven't watched Lord of the Rings?
No, I don't.
Oh my god. No. Is he in a cave? I suppose at one point he's kind of in a cave.
So maybe that's why he wants the lights on.
Yeah, maybe. Down to the south, we have our red Terran, also representing Root Gaming. It is MaSa. Lord of the Rings. What's going on?
Haven't seen Lord of the Rings, haven't seen Harry Potter.
Oh, you don't need to watch that one. That one's rubbish.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm about to get a lot of hate tweets, but it's...
Well, what do you think about me? Every single time that I state that I haven't watched Lord of the Rings, half the internet loses their brain.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I always say is that The Phantom Menace is my best and favorite Star Wars movie, and then everybody truly hates me and unfollows me.
Yep, I can see that coming.
Mark Olmich actually unfollowed me for that.
Did he?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I love Star Wars. Only the new ones though, especially The Phantom Menace. He unfollowed me.
I think I witnessed that actually, now that I think about it. Wow.
You know, these have been long days at the studios over here. Even today has been a very long day, but we do want to give a big shout out to our awesome crowd over here who's been coming every single day in full force, and of course all the people watching from home as well. And a special dedicated shout out to the die-hard StarCraft fans reporting in the Team Liquid live report thread. They want to get some love too, Claris, otherwise they feel left out.
Yes, they do. So plenty of StarCraft fans all over the world. Of course, rooting for people like iaguz all the way from Australia. I'm sure there's still people awake at what seems to be probably 7 or 8 a.m. now, I guess. I'm not sure.
That's the cool thing about esports, man. Like, you will always watch your country fellows, you know. And I remember in my Warcraft 3 days, whenever Grubby was playing in a tournament in China, I would always stay up. You know, you always want to see how he's doing. And right now, there are a lot of Australian fans. They're always cheering for either Pig or iaguz. You know, the Aussies, it's been rough for them in StarCraft 2. They had Moonglade early on, actually having a couple of very good runs, but after that it's been a little bit of a dip. But it's great to see Pig and iaguz right now performing on the big stage, and I'm sure they get a lot of support from home.
Yeah, we truly appreciate our other native English speakers in Moonglade and Pig who have decided to take up the reins and the microphones elsewhere.
Oh, so Pig is going to be mad if you call him a caster right now, Claris.
Well, yes, but he has also sold his soul for the caster's desk, so he's going to have to go with that. I'm sorry, Pig. You can get me later.
It's the acceptance that eventually sinks in. Just kidding, Pig. We know you'll be back in Season 3. Sure. All right, let's talk about this TvT as the first Reaper is marching across the map for MaSa. He's going to follow this up with a Banshee opening as well, but so it seems. Could be Banshee into Raven. I know that's a build that my dear friend Nathanius likes very much. iaguz on the other one is going to focus much more on economy. You know, TvT, ever since Wings of Liberty, it's often been one player opens up very economically, one player opens up aggressive. They kill a handful of SCVs and then they're even.
Yeah. We'll see now if the Banshee, if we're going to see one from MaSa, comes out and actually is able to do much at all. As obviously it's got a whole lot quicker here against iaguz. And there's Cloak already in production to start things off. So at least the 2 Banshees will be the normal go-to after that Cloak, and then just trying to poke around in these mineral lines.
Yep, you know, MaSa is going to just look for openings, but he's going to have to trade well. Well, be very careful. Don't want to end up losing the Reaper. Fortunately, he gets all of the damage here on the Reaper, and that's great, of course, because the Reaper will regenerate. I don't like that at all. Like, I don't know why he just walked forward again with that Hellion when he knows there are 4 Marines, unless he thought the Marines would somehow reposition, but I don't like this. This is a little bit sloppy. He ended up losing the Reaper, took a lot of damage on his Hellion, and what did he get in return? A single Marine, I believe?
Yeah, really not much at all. That was not exactly the best of positions there for MaSa. Gonna have to retreat on out.
I mean, of course, the Cloak Banshee is going to be the real punch over here for MaSa, but now he has to worry, and he might actually be forced to keep that Banshee at home for a little bit, because look at what he has at home right now. He has 1 Hellion. Of course, he can repair it. That's something, but you know, if the Hellion from iaguz gets a couple of good shots up and he walks up this ramp with the Marines, this could actually be kind of problematic for MaSa, who's sending his Banshee to the other side of the map. 5 Marines and a Hellion against 2 Marines and a Hellion. I think there's a good chance. Oh, if this Widowmine connects, I think there's a good chance that iaguz is going to do quite a bit of damage over here.
And also, I mean,
is he watching the Banshee?
I think he must be, because I mean, these Marines are.
Oh, he's standing it in mine. I think.
Oh my god.
Oh, repositioned for no reason.
Vikings out there as well. There is Cloak finished up, I believe. And he actually got a Raven because he didn't really know what was going on behind all of this for the most part. So, of course, it would have been great if there had been follow-up Banshees from his opponent, but it's not at the moment.
No, I mean, the Raven is always good, right? Like, especially as soon as the first tanks are out, you can really control the skies with it, and then you can like get your tanks in a much better position. Scan goes down. I'm not sure if he's going to get the Banshee over here, Claris. No, he's not. That's very unfortunate. It isn't something you never want to see happen. I think he's going to hope for one more scan to go down. This Banshee should probably just get the hell out of here. Vikings is going to keep track on it, but he's about to run out of energy. This is like one of my nightmares.
Yeah, there's no reinforcements coming for you, poor Banshee, and unfortunately it probably will end.
You know, the end is near. So in the end, that scan was good enough because it pushed the Banshee back and he was able to finish it off in the end. MaSa is still on 38. Oh my god, he's down 15 workers, like losing 5-6 SCVs, because he was not supposed to be the player to lose any SCVs at all. He's the one who's supposed to open up aggressive. He's supposed to kill a few SCVs on the other side of the map, but none of that happened. iaguz, after making that read early on and picking up the Reaper, he's like, hey, if you're opening up with Banshees, you probably don't have a whole lot of units at home. I'm just gonna try my luck, and instead of like keeping Marines at home and those Marines just being kited by the Banshee, I was going to be aggressive on the other side of the map, and that was an absolutely great decision by iaguz, because right now he took a commanding 16 worker lead.
Yeah, really, really strong. And when they're going for exactly the same compositions like they are currently, it's not exactly easy for him to really get back into this. Even the SCVs were evacuated very quickly away from that sweet spot to make sure that he's going to keep them alive. And with 2 Vikings here and Vision, it's only going to take 1 scan to kill this off.
Yep. That's very well done by iaguz. Again, I feel like pretty much everything in this game is going his way so far. The only thing that MaSa has is that Raven. Ravens are nice, but you know, he's not even ahead in the tank count, so it's going to be very hard for him to get his tanks in a good position. Vani is like almost an old school map when it comes to sieging on the low ground and being in the range of production facilities, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's so much surface area in the main base in which tanks can shoot at, but iaguz is aware of that. This is not the first TvT iaguz has played. Look at his production building placement, by the way. I love that. That, you know, he's thinking way ahead of it, because there's something like, no matter how many games I play, I always build my buildings in stupid positions, and then your Templar Archives or your robotics facility gets sniped, and you're like, oh man, like when do I ever learn? Or your forges. Well, iaguz has learned a long time ago, apparently. He has played a great TvT so far, Kalaris.
Yeah, he has. He's really, really well set up. And how many Vikings does he have out at the moment? 3 against 3, but there is obviously that Raven there, which
that's
with the point
only
defense
thing.
helps.
That's the only thing that MaSa has going for himself.
Yeah.
It's very well done that he somehow has avoided all eyes that iaguz has on the map.
But even the siege tanks are already set up in really good positions for iaguz.
Yeah, but imagine if he sets up on the left side, then he might actually be in range of those add-ons as well. If MaSa can turn this around, that would absolutely be remarkable, because that's not easy at all. iaguz is probably wondering, like, where is your stuff? Like, I have eyes everywhere. My Vikings, if you check out the main, I don't see army, and this is probably the moment when you realize, like, hey, that army is probably on the left side, and you can see him repositioning. Both players on siege right now. Those tanks are very exposed. Auto turrets going down.
Neither opponent has stim just then, so they weren't easily to get the Marines in position, but he's going to clean that up pretty quickly there with the firepower from the siege tanks. He's had slight air dominance there, so the Vikings were positioned correctly here for MaSa, but he's eventually get cleaned up.
Yeah, I mean, just 1 siege tank remaining, that's just not enough for MaSa. He will be able to get out of there with the majority of his Vikings and his Raven. Like, if he had a little bit more buffer, or if he was able to siege up before, then I think that could have gone a lot better. But iaguz just had way more units over there, so despite those auto turrets doing a really good job in soaking up quite a bit of damage, you could really see, I think, iaguz focus firing on those tanks, making sure that he didn't waste too much DPS, and in the end, well, there was only 1 tank remaining, and 1 tank is just not scary.
3 against 2 at the moment, so I'm not sure whether we see the proper pushing power available here for iaguz. I think he should just kind of rest up on what he has at the moment. Maybe go for a soft contain, but with the fact that it's 5 Vikings and 1 Raven against 1 Viking alone, iaguz, it's going to be hard to kind of get a really good position outside his opponent's base.
Yeah, but of course he is going up to 3 command centers behind this, so it's not like he's in a position where, oh man, he has to kill SCVs or he has to do game-ending damage. Not at all. Meanwhile, MaSa is achievement hunting, one of the hardest achievements in the game. Kill 40 workers with auto turrets. That never happens, Kalar.
Not too often, no, not too often. It still actually hasn't even gone to extra Viking production here. 38 Marines against 11. Technically, the ground army here for iaguz is phenomenal, but busting the locations, it's all about just softly containing around that 3rd base for now.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's not in a position that he has to do. Like, I mean, a doom drop, okay. It's very risky. There is not a whole lot in the natural of MaSa, so this could play out great for iaguz. Don't get me wrong, there's a very good chance he's going to do game-ending damage over here and win, but he's not in a position that he has to do this. Like, I'm a little bit surprised by this play. This could backfire, but there isn't that much over here from MaSa. MaSa has to respond to this immediately. He does have stim, but I think it's already going to be a little bit too late. All of these tanks are going to siege up in the natural, and this turns out to be a great drop by iaguz. Was not in a position that he had to do this, but he is going to do it just because he can and he wants to.
Wow, GG, game number 1, brutally taken there by iaguz. Knows when to flick on that kill switch and just go straight for that smashing blow. That was pretty difficult there. That was pretty difficult for MaSa.
Yeah, what a flawless game by iaguz. I can't believe it. Well, it's probably getting to MaSa a little bit, also realizing that this game, just pretty much everything went wrong for him. Never really caught any momentum in this series whatsoever. And, you know, maybe, like, sometimes when you think you're bad at something, it will really go to your head as well. And he already said, like, oh, I really don't want to play TvT. It's my worst matchup. There might be a lot of truth to that, you know, it's just like right now, it's just like, oh, man, I don't even know how I want to open anymore. That was not a nice game for him, and that was an awesome game for iaguz. Like, winning a first game in a best of 3, a deciding best of 3, that's always great. I mean, you don't have to be a grandmaster player to understand that winning the first series game in a best 3 is nice. But if you win it that convincingly and you just build up so much momentum, that really carries over in the next game as well. And something has to go terribly wrong for you to lose some of the momentum.
He didn't do anything too aggressive at the beginning, but he was able to stabilize and power on forwards. Guys, we're going to go to potentially one last final break here. And then after that, it will be game number 2 between iaguz and MaSa. All right, welcome back to the World Championship Series here for StarCraft II, as we have potentially iaguz moving on. If he's able to round this out 2-0, and after that first game, I'm not doubting him. He's looking pretty good.
He's shown some incredible consistency in WCS right now. It's one of these things that because he didn't make quarterfinals and semifinals, you don't really notice it, but he made top 16 in Season 3 of 2014. And in Season 1 of 2015, he was one map win away from doing it again, and then already back-to-back run of 16 appearances. That's something that not a whole lot of players can brag about. And now he's almost doing it again, just one map win away. But he's not there just yet. We've seen a lot of comebacks. We've seen a lot of, plot twists in WCS over the last few weeks. So let's just go ahead and jump into potentially the last game of the day, but it could also be our second last game. What we do know is that it's going to be played on Coda.
Up to the top left-hand corner, it is our red Terran. He needs to pull it out here in this game. Representing Root Gaming, it is MaSa. Big tip of the hat to Root, obviously, for having 4 players in Premier League in the round of 32.
And a caster.
And a cast. And down to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Terran representing Root Gaming as well. It's iaguz. Rocking on.
Man, he definitely knows how to win the crowd over here, man.
Yeah.
Like with all these cheeky wings and all these funny little things that he's got going for himself. It's like it's hard not to cheer for a guy that he's like, oh, that guy, he's so charismatic.
Yeah.
I'm going to shout for him. I'm going to giggle for him.
I will shout and giggle. All right, well, let's see if he can pull it out. Because if he can go on to Toronto, if he can actually make that position once again here, going into a round of 16, that will be phenomenal for him. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, not only is it a nice little extra bonus in terms of the prize pool, quite a significant bonus,
Yeah.
but also just being able to play in front of a live crowd in Toronto. I remember being there last time. It was Intel Extreme Masters, so probably not quite the heightened excitement as I think it was the Season 3 finals you guys did?
Of 2014.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the greatest events I've ever been part of. Not even necessarily because of the way that, let's say, the venue was set up or the way that the stage was, but just the crowd made that event. And we had some absolutely phenomenal games. I mean, people still talk about Maru versus Deer back then, because that was that good, that game on Frost. People are still like, oh my God. If you're ever bored, guys, just Google Maru versus Deer on Frost, and you're going to have a very good time watching that game. But, just overall, the fans were absolutely phenomenal. And I know that, the Season 2 finals this season, it's going to be off the charts. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I especially appreciated the pancakes over in Canada, something Todd knows all about because I ate them like every morning.
It's all about that poutine, Kalaris.
Oh, I can't eat that for breakfast.
Yes, you can. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like a true champion.
All right, I'll make it a thing. Reaper's going to be on the way over to the other side of the map now to have a little bit of a look around MaSa's base. I think he actually didn't open Reaper in the previous game, right? So he's a slight change up. Can jump on in and get some information.
No, a super quick factory over here for MaSa. He went gas first again. Like, it's really hard to get a factory any quicker than he did. I guess going to switch things up this time. Last time it was a gasless expand, I believe, and this time it's going to be a Reaper opening. He's going to hop into the main base. He's going to spot that there's just a single refinery down. Obviously, this is 4 minutes and 20 seconds, but that's always nice to know. So there is a chance that this is going to be a Banshee opening, but it's much more likely that it's going to be maybe some Marine into Widowmine, into Hellion pressure. And scouting this already makes your life so much easier as a Terran player.
Do you think for iaguz going up against, especially a teammate in MaSa, makes him feel more comfortable?
Yeah,
here?
I do think that he is a player that works off. I mean, obviously he's very mechanically gifted, but I don't think that's something where he necessarily excels at. I don't think that if you ask iaguz, what is your biggest strength? He says like, oh, I'm way faster than the average player, or I can just do more. But he's someone who thinks a lot about the game and is obviously able to not just think about the game, but also use the information that he gathers by watching replays of others or just learning about their styles to his own ability, and is then not afraid to switch up his own playstyle. And I think that's actually one of the stronger points of iaguz. And I think it makes him feel very confident that he is a teammate of MaSa and that he probably knows about his strengths and weaknesses in TvT, and he's then using that to his own advantage.
Yeah. I'm after thinking about it in between these two games, it kind of makes a lot of sense to me. Just the way he is, just the way he talks and the way he presents himself.
Yeah, I know. Like, you can see that he's confident. Even against Firekick, I think he was very confident going into that series, and not for no reason, because he put himself in a very good position in game number 3. But anyways, that is past and this is present. MaSa is going to try to look for an opening over here. He wants to do some economic damage, but with a setup, okay, that Widowmine could complicate things a little bit. One Marine friendly fire. Oh, good unbarrel over there by MaSa. Very well done, because that could have backfired.
I'm going to walk forwards again. Does actually do some damage to the Hellion, but he's going to try and keep that alive, and does! Wow, as well as getting the Widowmine after the scan, so good cleanup there by iaguz.
Yep, I mean, players on this level as well, they always abuse those Widowmines, and, MaSa burrowing it, very good play on both sides. iaguz trying to sacrifice one Marine for the greater good, just trying to trigger that mine, and even doing friendly fire, and MaSa saying like, nope, I see what you're doing there, and immediately unburrowing that mine. So good play on either side, but I still like this for iaguz, because he had the more economic opening, and he didn't really take any SCV losses over there.
Yeah, and I feel that MaSa can't allow iaguz to go into the same position in last game with like the economical event advantage because he ran away with it. Of course, it's not quite as the discrepancy as we saw last game with about 32 to 26 at the moment. Oh, and he has a little bit of supply block there, is iaguz. So just getting out of that with 2 supply depots. I guess the aggression kind of made him slip up a little.
Yeah, or he's just like, normally when I face aggression like this, I will lose a few units so my depot can be a little bit later. And now he's just like, wow, I'm this good at this game. I'm accidentally supply blocked because I didn't lose anything.
Whoopsie daisies.
That's what I would say if I was streaming. I'd be like, guys, this was actually calculated. I'm just like, I did not expect myself to be this good at the game.
That's the pro excuse right there. All right, well, what's it got going on in the back here? It looks like an extra barracks being added on here for iaguz pretty quickly, just to get all that macro going now that he has this 2 base saturation. And MaSa getting his tanks on out as well, but I think, it's going to be difficult for either player to really break anyone at this point. Is that medevac actually going to be able to do too much? Don't think so. iaguz is well on top of it.
Like we're just watching this, and there's obviously not going too much through our minds right now. We're just watching it, we're observing it, we see, we're like, okay, what's going well, what's not going well. But if you're MaSa, this is all kind of frustrating. It's just like, you already didn't feel like playing this matchup. Game number 1 was an absolute disaster, and now again in this game, nothing is really going your way. Ends up losing that medevac, won't get the Viking over here. Like, these are all small things. You need to be a real veteran not to let this get to you, because I would be extremely annoyed right now if I'm MaSa. This follow-up drop, the one that he just loaded in, that is a very, very important one. I would almost even say tournament live on the line over here from MaSa. He's down 12 workers. He's almost putting all of his eggs in one basket, or in this case, a flying basket that can speed boost. This is very important, man. This is tournament live on the line over here from MaSa. He needs to make magic happen with the drop, but look at the spread of the Vikings.
Yeah. That's one versatile basket, man. This is going to have to be a glorious magical basket, because right now, I feel like iaguz is on lockdown.
Look at the Marine cut of iaguz as well.
Yeah.
The Marines going out on the map. I mean, if MaSa, he's going to maybe go via the left side. No, he's going to via the right side into 3 Vikings. There's a chance that one medevac. Oh, those Marines, will they spot it? They're so close. No, I don't think they spotted it.
Oh.
Okay, he has that one Marine over there. That one Marine by MaSa gives him a lot of information. That is such a great Marine, by the way. What a phenomenal Marine there by MaSa. That's going to allow him to maybe drop in the only place where he can possibly drop. But look at iaguz's setup. He's so prepared.
Yeah.
He had units everywhere.
Absolutely, and now the Vikings have been triggered, and they will be able to just kind of shoo that away. So, and also during all of this, there's been like no Viking production thus far by MaSa. He hasn't wanted to rival the air at any point in time. So iaguz, he sees everything.
I think this is a moment where he's almost getting tilted, and he's like so tempted. Should I just fly in? Should I just fly in? But he knows he shouldn't. Like, there's no way that's gonna go good. Look at that tank siege setup that iaguz has going for himself. He has a Marine over here.
He's got to play it really slow now. Really, really slow. Considering that iaguz has just been sat back, chilling out, making production. Fine.
But he's been investing in this as well. Like, his upgrades are going to be probably later. His infrastructure is later. He's still down on the workers. Like, he knows that he has to do something.
Stim as well.
But sometimes you just gotta, cut the losses, or you gotta be patient. And now actually iaguz is moving out. This might be it's so difficult. Do you really fly past those Vikings? You need to have some very big, what to do that, Polaris.
Yes, you do. And speaking of a great big thing, it's also already moving through the middle of the map right now. This is quite the force, quite the army. Stim's about to finish. If these medevacs get too crazy and too close, they could get sniped off. Oh, but he's setting up a defensive perimeter here. I think that's a good move by MaSa. Needs to stop this force from moving forward.
Oh, Stim being used over here. Of course, there is Stim on iaguz's side. There's no Stim on the side of MaSa.
Oh, he's on top of the tanks. He's going to actually be able to focus one down with him. He wants to pick them up and try and get on top of these tanks as well. He's actually traded off brilliantly against this. iaguz with the orchestration of a demigod. I can't believe he was actually able to win out that fight so well. Neither can he.
He's a little pleased with himself. He knows he's playing like a man on fire right now. I mean, that was some of the most beautiful defense I've ever seen, like, before this fight happened.
Yes.
Without actual fighting. It's just because he was so ready for it. He read MaSa like a book, and we mentioned that as well. iaguz obviously a guy that puts a lot of thinking into this game. It's not just practice, it's not just grinding games. He's really willing to adjust his play by thinking about it. How do my opponents like to play? And he has been reading MaSa so damn well throughout this series.
Doesn't have to go in there just yet either. He's up in army supply by about 30 at the moment.
And he's up a base, basically.
Yeah, this army is very, very powerful for him. He can pretty much sit outside there and just try and contain for a little bit. His hit drop has been spotted on the left-hand side as well.
Yeah, it would actually be smart, I think, for iaguz to maybe just keep it on 2 bases for now and not spread yourself too thin, not allow those drops to do some damage. This is a good play by MaSa. Any small thing he can find for himself right now would be nice. But he can win this Marine fight as well. It's 8 against 8, but he has some healing power. Well, he's down an upgrade. Upgrades are good.
Not that good, apparently, in that situation. Big, wow.
Actually, no,
Sneaky guy.
Well, he was up in upgrades.
Coming all the way around here and going straight into the back of this mineral line. The siege tanks are going to have to unsiege and get in a better position to try and deal with this, but this is quite the force. And iaguz knows that he can try and trade off a little bit here. If he can kill 21 workers, of course he can trade off here. This is brilliant for iaguz.
It's not just the workers that he has killed, it's the workers that he's still going to kill after this as well. Eventually, MaSa may be able to clean this up, but look at the supply, 64 supplies left. He has lost 38 SCVs. There are 9 SCVs left right now for our Canadian Terran. At the same time, on the other side of the map, iaguz completely neglecting that drop, or actually deflecting that drop, not taking any damage. And that is going to be it. iaguz will qualify for WCS Premier League for the 2nd time in his career.
Wow, what a performance. Look at the confidence he has here, and the Australian flag given to him by Pig as well. iaguz showing in that final series who is worthy of moving on to the round of 16. That was impressive stuff by him.
He played so damn good throughout the series. I felt like he dictated the pace of the game and he was in control of it from start to finish. Just had a very good idea of how his teammate likes to play and had the perfect answers. And once more, that defense, I think on Coda, he couldn't see everything, but he just felt it, he read it, and he never broke. You know, he had a little bit spread out everywhere, and even though the fighting never really happened, so it wasn't like great hold, it was a beautiful hold because MaSa, like, he wanted to attack so desperately, but he just couldn't. Like, he knows if I drop into this, I won't get anything out of it. So just very, very well done by our Australian Terran.
Yeah, great perimeter, great setup. Congratulations to iaguz. And finally, let's hear from him. At the end of the night, it is iaguz moving on to the round of 16.
Thank you very much, Clara. An Australian is going to Canada, everybody. iaguz, you know, you've been playing StarCraft II for a very, very long time. It's safe to say this is the biggest moment of your career. All those hours, all those hard work, it must be a great feeling having it finally pay off.
Yeah, definitely. And here I was thinking I should have gotten a real job instead.
You're going to play on the huge stage in front of a live audience. You're going to represent Australia. You're going to take them to a big tournament. We know it's going to be huge. There's going to be a lot of people there. What is going through your mind when you start to think about that, going and playing on the stage in the booth?
Well, honestly, like, all the other players are really good, so I hope I just don't get, like, splattered. If I win games, that'd be even better.
This is going down as one of the best interviews in history, iaguz.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It means a lot to me.
What is going to change for you? Is there going to be much change in preparation when you're going into Canada? I mean, it's going to be this is something that not many people get to do. This is a massive opportunity to go there to compete well. I mean, likewise here, but on a much, much larger scale. Is there going to be much you're going to change going up to there?
Not really, just studying my opponents, prepare some builds.
Did you do that? Did you do that for here? Did you study your opponents here?
Yeah, I definitely played a little different for Firecake. Didn't work, but I tried.
Pig, you got some questions for your
Yeah, absolutely. Some very commanding finish to the day. I think those games, you seem to have a very good understanding. First of all, game number 1, you got a very nice edge early on with that nice Marine Hellion poke. Was that something you had an intuition about how your teammate might have played? Talk to me about that opening.
Well, I know you had gone Gas First Reaper just based on the Reaper timing, and that means he's going to poke with the Reaper into Hellion, and I repulsed it, and then I also got to, like, kill the Reaper and almost kill the Hellion, so I thought, yeah, he's probably got nothing. That build, like, it's really light on units. It just tries to do as much as possible with the poke, and then, because he knows I've expanded, he's definitely going to get the Banshee, and I can dodge the Banshee. So, yeah, like, you wouldn't normally do that. That's, like, really uncommon, very situational.
Okay, it was it got you a nice edge. You got about 5 or 6 SCV kills, gave you a very nice position. Then in the second game, of course, there was a nice point where you seem to anticipate the medevac and Hellion drop early on, or at least you were building a lot of units. Were you just playing a very safe style there? Talk to me about that opening.
Well, I was pretty ahead. Reaper Expands are a pretty good build order against Mind Drop, and I handled the drop without taking too much damage. And then when I scanned him to check what his follow-up was, and I saw a second medevac, and I'm like, yeah, I saw MMA do this in Pro League. I know what you're up to.
The money scan timing.
Yeah, well, it could have been Banshee. You have to know what's going on. But yeah, I just saw it was the medevac thing, so don't let the medevacs in and you'll be fine.
Fantastic. Very well played. Thank you so much, iaguz.
Yeah, no worries.
You got a question again for you, iaguz. It's obviously quite apparent. You could hear the crowd shouting Aussie, Aussie, Aussie during your games. Is that a good help, a good momentum for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's really weird to hear a non-Australian crowd chanting that. It's a very strange moment for me. I'm quite thankful. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, hopefully get some Canadians doing the same thing for you. You've made a lot of fans here today. And it's a big moment for, not just you, but for Australian esports as well. You're going to be the first Australian going over to Canada to represent in the season finals. A big, big moment. Ladies and gentlemen, iaguz. It doesn't stop.
It doesn't. I need these guys to just follow me around on the street whenever I need cheering up. Oh, I stubbed my toe. Guys! And they do it.
Thank you, iaguz, one last time. Let's take a quick look at the bracket to confirm what we've had complete. We've now got 14 players that will represent in Canada. Firecake and iaguz are the two players that escape from today's group. Despite everybody looking at this saying MaSa was a big favorite to advance. So congratulations to those two players, which leaves us with just one group left. 1 day left of StarCraft II action here in Cologne, Germany. We're going to be going into that tomorrow. Jaedong is going to be playing on that stage behind us. It's going to be an awesome day, and we hope to see you here, if not on stream instead. We'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time.
Game away from the crowd.